Hello, hello, hello. Hi, welcome to First Friday. This is Roz McCarthy. So happy to be with you. Hey, everybody. Listen, it's been a slam jam good Friday. I'm so excited to be with you guys. We just got off a Canada Talk with Roz. We were a little late with that one, but such a dynamic conversation. I need you guys right now. Stop what you're doing. Share this, share this, share this. Listen, supplier diversity in cannabis is so important. We want to give a shout out to Curaleaf and all of your commitment to supplier diversity and making sure that we see more suppliers and vendors that are in the ecosystem of cannabis that look like me. Our Black and brown brothers and sisters want to get a piece of the pie. And the thing about it is, you don't have to be you don't have to be an operator touching plant. So I'm so excited. It's one, Black History Month. Two, we got the opportunity of having a group that is, I met them at MJ BizCon and was blown away by what they're doing. They're a part of our supplier diversity network. So we have the folks that are contract ready. This business is CLG and Associates. Welcome, Vince, and welcome, Whitney, to First Friday. What's happening? Hey.
Well, thanks for having us.
Hey, listen, so happy to have you. Listen, so you guys right now, I encourage everybody. We got people that saying, oh, hello, go share this right now. Share it on your page. We're going to have a conversation. So let's start with Vince. Vince, introduce yourself, introduce your role with the company, a little bit about the company, and then we'll go to Whitney.
Okay. My name is Vince Canales. I'm the president, the owner of CLG and Associates. Started back in 2016 as a security contractor, actually in the Maryland market when it first opened up. A little bit about my background. Actually, I'm a retired law enforcement officer in Maryland. Did 21 years on the job there. Actually had retired and then got invited to participate in a couple of different meetings regarding the cannabis startup industry in Maryland when the market originally started to open up and they were looking for some minority participation. During the course of that, a lot of conversations started to occur regarding the industry in and of itself and other services that people could wind up providing it within the industry. And I started to look into this avenue of it. So that's it in a nutshell.
Nice. Whitney, introduce yourself.
So I'm Whitney Thomas. I am Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the company. My job is to bring in new business. So this kind of conversation is great for me. So feel free to contact me when you listen. Here's something you like. Good people reach out. I'm happy to hear from you. I came on in mid 2021 to just augment sales. Sales has already been fantastic. The company's grown in just 5 years to about 140 plus employees, and probably will double in the next couple of years if I'm doing what I should be doing. So yeah, we feel really good about what we're doing. Obviously, cannabis has exploded, and we're taking advantage of that. But I'm also expanding the company beyond cannabis. So my job is also to add, traditional security business. So for this conversation, we'll stick to the cannabis side.
We're gonna stick to cannabis because what my job is with M4MM is this is our industry, right? It's for minorities for medical marijuana, and for us, we create and procure and this particular program to find companies like yourself that can make cannabis another extension of business that you are able to provide services for. It won't be the only thing, but we really believe that we first got to stick together. And we just had that conversation the last hour during Canada Talk with Roz. Tell me this: when you guys went to when you were at MJ BizCon, what were your overall thoughts? Just out of curiosity, what were you thinking? Did you make great connections? What was it at MJ BizCon that maybe impressed you the most or made you pause and say, wow, here's an opportunity?
For me, I think it was initially I'd heard about MJ BizCon and someone had recommended that we actually go out and take a look, that this was kind of an opportunity to be in an environment where, those in the industry would be at, you could sit and talk, network, and kind of get, maybe develop some additional contacts. I was didn't really know what to expect when I got there. Was actually, and being very candid, a little bit disappointed at sitting in some of those rooms and listening to some of the conversations and seeing that we were so under represented within those rooms, and not really understanding, the fact of just how little involvement we have within the traditional, or the normal industry in and of itself. So when I saw you coming through the room and saw others that looked like us coming through the room,
You be like,
it
oh, Lord, you my family. And listen, you like, listen, honey, let me tell you something. In 2018, which was my first year, I looked around. And for you guys that don't know, MJ BizCon is the largest cannabis conference and expo worldwide, right? And so literally you're there and you see all these rush of people, and you're hard pressed to find people that look like you. However, we know that we have been systematically and disproportionately arrested, incarcerated, held to be scrutinized for this plant. And it's just kind of such a weird dichotomy, don't you think, Whitney?
Oh, it's bizarre because I mean, Vince and I are both from Philly, and although he's in Maryland now, and I'm still in Philly, but for decades I know brothers who were weed purveyors, I shall say.
Let's go work for it.
Purveyors of product, and it's just sad to see that once it went legal in some aspects, that so few have been able to participate. And so, I mean, it's America, so we understand how that works, especially when there's a lot of money on the table. And obviously in this market, there's a lot of money on the table. Yeah. And so we're just doing what we can to try to, do what we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, Vince, from a law enforcement perspective, how weird is that where, I'm imagining those different communities that you were protecting and you were serving in your capacity, but you had to serve and do your job, and how many people that we saw that looked like us, that it's not a matter of we consume at the same rate as whites, but the incarceration and then also the problems that happen after you are arrested in regards to, being in front of a judge, affording an attorney, the follow-up, you don't go to court, then you end up getting, you get a warrant for not showing up to court. Talk about from that experience in law enforcement.
Oh, I mean, it was definitely, when the initial conversation started and I was invited into some of these rooms, it was actually a little weird to sit and like you said, knowing that I came from the other side, that, I was actually engaged in some of these conversations. I, being very, candid about it, my family, as Whit stated, were purveyors of the cannabis. So I never really had the
I'm gonna steal y'all words. Hey, listen, that's real.
I never really had.
I love it.
I never really had the big stigma associated with, and actually, with regards to how the product in and of itself. I think Whit hit it right on the head that it was very alarming that once it became a legal market, that all of a sudden now, it seemed as if the bar was being set so high, and the need to have such a big amount of capital in order to even get yourself in the game was, made it difficult for a lot of people of color to basically participate in it. Yeah. At least on the cannabis space. Now, on the ancillary side, that was a piece of it for me that I thought, was an avenue to get into the industry, not have to deal with all of the outside regulations that are associated directly with the industry. And, then being able to actually capitalize on some of the other gains, within this space that kind of were being left on the table.
Sure. I think that was going to be, you actually led me down a great path, because I was going to ask you, when you saw everything happening, you could have, because you're a businessman, you could have pursued wanting to become an operator in Maryland, because you guys are based in Maryland, right?
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, Maryland was about that foolishness the first round when it first came out. For Maryland to have a application round for licensing for operators, and not one Black operator was chosen out of that application pool, what did that say to you
I was, but like I said, in my previous life, I also did a lot of legislative work. So when all these conversations were going on and the development of a lot of the legislative language was being created, especially the Black Caucus in Maryland was very actively engaged in trying to craft language that would make sure that minorities would be able to participate. But like anything else, I mean, the first round, there were a lot of loopholes within the language that didn't necessarily have the teeth required in order to mandate or make the state actually provide, takes some notice with regards to minority participation. I think the second go round, they tried to get it, corrected again, and they had a little bit better success the second time. But it was a continuous work in progress in order to just make it, try to level out the playing field. But you hit it on the head. The first opportunity was the best opportunity, and a lot of individuals didn't get an opportunity, didn't get the ability to actually, receive the licenses and participate in the program as they should have.
What blew me away with Maryland, and I'm just taking you guys, I'm giving you a history lesson. So everybody is on with me right now. I'm giving a little history lesson. What really blew me away was the fact that they want to do a disparity study or a study on if there's any disparity between cannabis businesses that are coming from Black operators or getting an opportunity. And we already know that there's been tons of study in regards to business entrepreneurship ownership shows that we are systematically left behind the 8 ball when it comes to building our business, growing our business, having access to capital to build capacity. So it just threw me off for a loop. The fact that let's do another study that we already know the numbers. It doesn't change from cannabis to, from technology. I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Well, when you have government, and when government is dealing with us, I'll say, what you do is when you fail, you do a study. That's your way
that's your response.
Study. We're not actually going to do anything, but we're going to look at it. We're going to take a look at it. And so, I mean, we kind of know how that works. And they'll be looking at it for about another 150 years.
And turning butter. Let's look at it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And Vince is also being modest because Vince was also the president of the Fraternal Order of Police for the state of Maryland for several years.
Wow.
And so that's part of how Vince was able to become part of a large group because Vince is also the senior vice president of security for a very, very large MSO that has business nationwide. So, his ability to even be part of it was also part of him being such a major political figure. And so it shouldn't, it is that way, but it shouldn't be that way that you have to have so much juice, and you had to have so much juice to be part of it, which he was fortunate to be able to do that. And most people aren't. So, but that's kind of the way of the world.
That is the way of the world. So, when we talk about one thing we talk about with the supplier diversity conversation is being contract ready. And Vince, can you talk us through like from your first cannabis contract, what was the service? And again, I don't want you to give out any proprietary information, but there's a lot of people on here. They are looking for, and we have to do this. We have to, as we arrive, as we make it, as we create a path, we have to reach back and be able to pull people up or pay it forward in regards to maybe some things that you can recommend not to do or to do in order to get that contract. And I would love for you to talk about even that first experience. Who did you call on? What did you say? What are you MBE certified? Did they care? Like, what are some of the things that really you think made a difference for you?
So what I will tell you this is, first and foremost, anything else, and I think most people on this call can attest to this. Is us being available and open to opportunities when they present themselves. Not being afraid to step out, not being afraid to try something new, and taking advantage when an opportunity presents itself. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I had never run a security company. Leading up to this was something that basically an individual sitting in the room said, you should start a company. And when he said it, I thought about it and said, well, let me start doing some research. And, if there's anything that I could sit and tell anyone in this call is, research, try and learn as much as you can. Some initially on your own, and then start utilizing some of your own resources around you. In order to, kind of glean and solicit whatever information that you think can be useful. The other thing as well for me was there was a lot. I mean, there were failures along the way. There were definitely some bumps and bruises that, you take in the process. Being a new company, a new startup company, and being a new company in an industry that in and of itself had the regulations are still ever evolving and changing. So I had a very fortunate ability to be in on the ground level, be able to help, orchestrate and kind of craft some of the language for some of the regulations that and how we do business within the industry from a security standpoint. And move forward from there.
Mm.
You asked the question, was I MBE certified? I'm currently working on that right now. So if there is someone on this call who actually has that expertise, please contact Whit, and we would
Okay,
definitely
hey,
love
listen,
to.
hey, we got it's economics. We got and paying. He ain't asking for on the humbug. Like,
No.
brother,
I will tell you that is the funniest thing. The other thing is that you also learn along the way that within this industry, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people they don't even know that they need yet. So, from security services to accounting to bookkeeping to cleaning, there's all kinds of outside. Uh,
PPE equipment,
yes,
advertising, newsletter production, recycling. One of the biggest things that we see that a lot of these cannabis companies, I'm about to drop a gem, y'all. So I wish I had some music because listen, ESG, environmental, social, corporate governance. You're going to see more of the big companies, especially the multi-state operators, who have a ESG plan. That plan is specific. They're looking for ways to show their stakeholders, to show the industry, to show their customers that they care about the environment, that they have a care about social impact, that they have corporate governance to make sure people know that they're running a credible and a wholesome company. So if you can figure out ways to impact the ESG report, look up ESG, look up what that program looks like, and if you have a service that you can impact to make it positive that they are doing some of the right things, pitch yourself. And I know what you, Vince, and then you got Whitney as your business development. So Whitney, I would love for you to weigh in too. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, you brought this up, and the panel brought this up at your panel at MJ Biz. Is that unfortunately, because there are a lot of roadblocks that we may or may not be able to overcome in terms of getting into cannabis directly.
yes,
What you might want to do is kind of the position we're in is be involved. I won't say indirectly because we're directly involved, but in a way that doesn't require some of the same hurdles to be overcome. And so, perfect example, we're growing and growing and growing. And what fortunately we're able to do, we hire a lot of minority guards. So we're able to hire and pay very well a lot of minorities because we have a business that's involved with cannabis, but you understand what I'm saying? You can still help other people prosper who look like us in other ways in ancillary type businesses. So I think that people, just like you said, should be looking also at other areas where you can get involved, but not necessarily be a direct purveyor of cannabis.
of cannabis.
Right.
I will say this, if I can add this too, real quick to that.
Yes, please.
You also with some of these newer markets that are about to start coming online and everything else. The Colorados of the world, the Marylands, the Pennsylvanias. Some of those markets are already so 3-4 years in, 5 years in, overly established, and you've now got other individuals who are jumping into these markets. But getting out on the front end in some of these newer markets as you start to hear that they're coming online is key, because you find that a lot of these programs, actually the regulation does extend to some of the ancillary businesses with regards to specific licensing or insurance requirements or regulatory requirements that they have to meet. And when you jump in on the front end, you're able to actually get a bigger leap, step forward, in that industry, and being able to provide putting yourself in a marketable standpoint to provide those services to those companies that are going to be actively out there looking for you in whatever ancillary service that you're providing, to help them get started and get off the ground in those areas.
Absolutely. Because let's talk about the fact that also on the ancillary side, the access to capital kind of that mountain that we have to climb as just a business, especially in cannabis, when you're not directly touching the plant. I think your opportunities or your different avenues for access to capital are a little broader than when you're in cannabis, because cannabis is very, like, if you can't find investors who are very specifically looking to invest in cannabis, banks are not touching it. Can you guys talk on, capacity building and, things that people need to be thinking about? From being contract ready means having a bank account, having a relationship with a banker, things of that nature.
Well, I'll start and then you jump in, Vince. We've had conversations with people who were starting grows and farms and these kinds of things right now in states that aren't yet legal. And so they're trying to be on the front end so that when it does happen, they're in position. And some of those individuals do need investors. And, we've kind of suggested to folks to get their planning in order so that, once you can show a really viable business plan for how you're going to build this farm, then there are people out there with money that you can get to invest. But you got to be super tight. And, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes. Go Vince.
Now, on the ancillary side, you are correct. I mean, the access to capital actually is a little bit easier when you're not directly touching the plant. They treat some of when I talk about ancillary services, a lot of those services are more traditional type services that extend not only beyond, in cannabis, but beyond cannabis. So people are definitely a little bit more ready to basically provide access to help you scale up and be ready for projects. So long as you're basically you're treating it as a business and you're being reputable and conducting yourself ethically and doing everything you can to support, them being willing to go ahead and provide that kind of service. What you will find too is because there is kind of this everyone knows that cannabis is here, it's coming, it's growing, that if you can show established clientele, you can show volume or the ability to actually scale that your business is potentially going to wind up scaling up as a result of other markets that come online. We're constantly getting bombarded with individuals who want to provide capital to us for certain projects, and wanting us to take on some debt in order to basically grow the business out even further. And I mean, a lot of times we wind up having to push away because it's just, we don't have a true need for it right just yet. Fortunately, we're blessed as far as that's concerned.
That's a blessing in itself, not to need that need. So maybe you guys need to call Vince and say, listen, if he got some people on the phone, because I might call you my stuff, Vince.
Where's that paper?
People that you don't need it. Anyway. I mean, and I think, so when we talk about, like, because what we're trying to do, and let me go back with Improcure. The vision behind Improcure was, if we can create a program that put the industry on notice that we are going to start watching where they spend their dollars. Do not think that the industry is spending a little bit of money. They're spending millions of dollars on vendor contracting services that are not related to their everyday day-to-day. So we felt like if you are no more, like, even with this, we just had a conversation about the NFL and Brian Flores and how you had GMs who bring in their friends, who then bring in their other friends to be the coordinators, who then bring in their friends to be, he brings in the head coach. And before you know it, the whole entire ecosystem of that team is just kind of people that are friendly with one another. Well, if we don't run the same circles, if we don't go drink together, if we don't partner together, and I don't know you like that, then 9 times out of 10, you're not going to bring me into that inner circle. And that's why you have things like the Rooney Rule, which kind of made it specific, like you can't just pick all your good friends to deliver services. And that's kind of what I see with cannabis. Improcure is like basically putting the industry on notice that we got to do a better job of spreading the wealth. If we're not going to be able to do it on the operator side, how do we do it on the ancillary side? And that's where, do you think attending these conferences, how do you network? Whitney, this is a great question for you. If you're business development, how do you find the next big client in cannabis? Who is that person?
Well, there's a few things to unpack from what you just talked about. Yeah. You hit on about 5 different things. I could have jumped in on. But one of the things with this watchdog organization, I'll call it, that you're trying to create is we have to do our own part for ourselves. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Part of Brian Flores' situation is dealing with the Giants, right? The New York Giants.
Yeah.
And so they came out with a real snarky comment saying because he said, oh, everybody has a right to hire who they want. And they came out with a comment like, yeah, that's exactly what we did, right? But when you look at their background, you realize, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, in the almost 100-year history of the New York Giants, they've never had a black coach. Never. Yeah. And they've only had, I think, 5 coordinators who were black. 5 in their entire history. And so the New York Giants have a whole lot of black fans. Whole lot. And so you got to start asking the question, well, who are we fans of and why are we fans of you? And I think that until that kind of thing happens in connection to your watchdogging of, hey, you guys need to do better in these areas, we need to maybe not shop with those people who don't do as well in those areas and shop with the ones who do and force that hand. And so now on the cannabis side for us, I mean, we've been fortunate that the company is a really effective operation based on Vince's leadership. And so, even the fact that you see that we're not yet MBE certified, we've been able to prosper because he's just an effective business person. And the company is just really well run. And guards, which is the primary aspect of our business, along with monitoring and systems and a few other things, transport of product and money in Maryland and some in Pennsylvania. But along with that, we understand that guards to some degree is a commodity. Yes. And so it's almost like fast food. Fast food in a lot of ways is a commodity, but you can go to McDonald's and they might greet you and say, yeah, can I help you? Or you go to Chick-fil-A and they're like, hello, how can I help you? And they're
a whole different experience. Right.
Because the difference for us is management. How do you manage the people? And so our approach has been just to be really effective at managing our commodities and managing our clients in a way that people find us to be very appealing to work with. Yeah. So first and foremost, just be good at what you do. I mean, excellence is always rewarded because, not a lot of people are. Yeah. So
that part.
I sell that to any and everyone first. Is just be really good at what you do. And things happen when you're good. I kind of just personally believe. So go ahead.
Let me jump in right quick. Cannabis has a professionalism problem for those people that don't understand it. And I've seen it where the level of professionalism that you have had to administer or facilitate in corporate America, we are not getting that in cannabis. It's kind of like, hey, that's my buddy, you do this. But if we become even more professional as Black and brown business owners, where our follow-up, we're on time, we just serve with excellence. And I think that's what you're saying, Whitney.
Right.
It will separate you really quickly from some of the people that they're working with. And people they love good customer service.
Right.
And so it's obvious, Vince, that you got great customer service on top of all the other intangibles.
And if I throw this out there to you as well, this is the other thing with regards to how this whole process works. We are such a small number within the cannabis space. Unless you're out here attending the MJ Business or some of these other conferences that are out here and putting yourself out there and introducing yourself to other people, it becomes a very hard thing to do, amongst minorities in and of itself. And it's even harder when you're talking about trying to deal with some of the other MSOs and some others that are out there, who they have a lot easier road to hoe as far as that's concerned, getting services and having individuals that, are having access to individuals or a network of people that they could sit and automatically go to. So at MJ Biz, and I hate to keep throwing that one out there, but it was real. Again, I think for anybody that may be on this call right now, and listening to this, if you were at MJ Biz, you couldn't help but every time you saw somebody that looked like you, but want to smile and say hello and sit and talk and basically start discussing, what you bring to the table or what services you offer and trying to figure out a way to all be helpful to one another. And I think that that's the key. I mean, we have to actually start doing a much better job of helping each other, touting one another and putting ourselves out there. And when it's not about you, being very happy and willing and aggressive about talking about, those around you that you do know who have something of value and that you think others need to know about.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing we'll do. I'll make a commitment to you is that we got a sister out of Georgia who won one of the Georgia licenses. So our commitment is that we'll introduce you to her. And I think it's just, for us, it's all about, I don't need you to go win it. I don't need you to talk it for me. Just give me that opportunity and then allow me to have the chance to be able to show what I can do and what my expertise is. Don't you think?
That network event that you did at the conference, where basically, because up until that point, you saw one or two of us walking around.
Yeah,
but when I walked in that
if
room,
y'all missed the treat. Hey,
listen, it was so nice to basically walk in that room and then just to see a bunch of us in there and being able to just sit and talk and have conversations, good, bad, or indifferent, talk about experiences that we all have had, to hear your panel talk about some of the challenges as well. That was huge. And I think we networked more in that one room in that 1 hour than we did probably throughout the whole event, just kind of going from booth to booth, trying to introduce yourself.
Yeah, it was an intentionality. For those that weren't there, we did a after party after the first day. It was a welcome to Las Vegas. M4MM did it with a reception sponsored by the USCC, U.S. Cannabis Coalition, or one of those names. But anyways, long story short, so shout out to them. But we did it, and it was very intentional because we stopped the music and had everybody stop, look to your left, look to your right, find someone that you don't know, and go figure out how to do business with them. And that's what we have to do more of it at other different conferences that pop up in these other different regions or what have you. And I just remember clearly meeting Whitney, clearly talking to him the whole night. He was, as I'm trying to make sure everybody's having a good time, because we set it off. We had food, we had drinks, we had desserts. If you wanted to be a purveyor, you could purvey all night long.
And you can tell I work in sales. I was working the crowd. I worked the crowd.
And between working the crowd, he'll come back and work me. Okay, Ross, so how are we gonna do this? What are we gonna do? I got you, Whitney. I said, I promise. I got you. And he'd go back and work the crowd. He'd come back, Ross. Okay, so what we gonna do now? But honestly, it didn't bother me one bit. It was great. And the thing about MJ Biz, what will happen is that you will get a scattering of people that look like this, that come to Vegas with their fingers crossed. They walk away with a lead here, an opportunity here, or what have you. And our event was, and I didn't apologize, that it was about us, and it was about us having an event that was of excellence, that you walked in and it just felt good and the energy was good, and we had our music and we had our food. And so I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. We are going to do it again this year in 2022, and we're going to be looking to do it bigger and do it better, and hopefully be able to help connect some more dots for you and other businesses.
Yeah, like Vince said, between the panel that you hosted, which was great because we learned some things too about some folks who are doing different things from California to Florida, I guess. So between that panel and then the after party event, those were really the highlights of our trip. In all honesty, because we did the show floor, which is colossal, and we talked to a lot of different people in a lot of different areas. But that really was the highlight. I mean, it was the most useful in terms of making connections and trying to build relationships. It was the most comfortable, obviously, and oddly enough, Damon John was the keynote speaker, a brother, and he was excellent. And it was kind of like, wow, the best things that we went to look like us.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about where you see yourself, future events, and your company. And let's put it out there. Tell people, because we may have an MSO buyer or someone that's going to watch this later on. Tell them about CLG and Associates. What are some of your core services right now in cannabis that you work on? And is there areas that you're expanding to? What state are you in right now? Are there states that you're looking to expand? Give yourself an option of, Whitney as well. You guys weigh in together. But what's the next? Where do you want to go? What does that look like? Let's make sure that if someone listens to this, they know specifically what you're looking for.
A little bit about the services that we provide. I mean, we provide everything from security guards all the way to developing relationships or establishing relationships in with regards to access control, video surveillance, pretty much any of your IT or infrastructure needs that are security related. We can actually, we can either directly or we have relationships that we can provide those services for you. And the majority of those individuals that we deal with.
Hey Vince, is that also? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but is that also the hardware as well as the people as well? Like the camp? Okay,
that correct. Soup the nuts. I mean, and if we don't do it, again, my biggest problem, and Whit will tell you, is I have a very hard time saying no. So we do everything in my mind, and we do some things better, and we're learning and growing into some of these other spaces. We're in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri. We're going to be in West Virginia as well. We'll be in Jersey, Georgia, here shortly. Out in California, we're doing some work as well. So in a lot of these newer markets that are coming online, we're aggressively and actively out looking in those areas too. And for me, like Whit said, currently the way we're structured, I mean, we're heading towards being twice this size that we are, and probably twice as many states. So about 250 to 260 employees in probably about 12 states total here within the next year and a half, 2 years. So we're definitely on an upward trajectory right now. And we're open to conversations. I mean, a lot of this for me is just being open to meeting new people, talking to new people, seeing if there are things that we can do, services that we may be able to provide, and if we can't, being able to direct you or point you to some other people that look like us that may be able to do it for you. So our network is growing. We're having fun. I mean, that's the key, enjoying it, and we enjoy what we do. And we appreciate the time that people take and the business that we do, that we get along the way.
I would also add that because guards is our number one business, providing actual security guards for dispensaries and grow facilities. I like to let people know that if you do have information or leads or opportunities that you're aware of, or vaguely have some idea about, let us know, because one of the things that we do is we do try to hire people who look like us. Absolutely. So it's an opportunity where when you're bringing us in, you're hopefully also bringing other people who look like us in, and giving us the opportunity to hire more people who look like us, which any and everybody might not do.
Yeah.
So all things are not created equal. Some companies who get business don't necessarily benefit the group as much as others, and we like to we go out of our way to do that.
Hey, out of curiosity, when they had the smash and grab situation that was going on right around December, did you guys come up with like a special plan to kind of and again, not giving the details, but how did that affect your business and your? I guess, did you have to provide more training from a security perspective, because it was a real thing, especially on the West Coast, where you saw these dispensaries, people coming in, and I know one in particular. And shout out to Tucky Blunt with Blunts and More, right there, right at the Oakland A Stadium. That's where his dispensary is. I've been there. I've done an expungement clinic there. He had, one way in, one way out. He had guards at the front, guards in the middle, guards at the door, everything. And, he has, had robberies before. So just out of curiosity, how did that affect your business? Or did you get more phone calls about we need more support or what have you?
We definitely, you're talking about, number of different situations that have arisen over time that ultimately have led to, certain developments in how we conduct security. And a lot of it is fluid. I'll be very honest with you. You're never going to prevent if someone wants to commit a robbery, they're going to commit a robbery. Whether or not they get away with it, it's going to be the questionable part. But if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. The only thing you can do is try to provide as many deterrents as possible. And what I can tell you, in the instance where a lot of the smash and grabs and things of that nature were going on, what we wound up going back to was technology was a big component. More cameras, controlling how many people you may allow in and out of a facility, providing maybe some additional bodies on the floor as well, in order to ensure that there are more eyes and someone physically there to provide some type of deterrent. We also after hours wound up creating more of a roving patrol unit in certain areas where we know that there's a potential for high crime after hours. So when they're closed, not only would they have the ability to have alarms and have the availability of the what the systems themselves, but also having a unit that kind of drove around from facility to facility within particular radius, certain mile radius of our clients, and using them to routinely check on the buildings, make sure that everything is secure, keeping an eye on them after hours to ensure that nothing was going on. And the biggest thing after that, I mean, once the situation occurs, because a lot of you're not going to be able to prevent everything.
Yeah.
When an incident occurs, is doing the best that we can to provide investigative services, helping acquire whatever information we can to assist law enforcement with trying to basically close some of these cases. If it's the video surveillance footage, any other statements that we can get from any other neighbors or any other tenants of a particular commercial structure that you may be in, and just trying to do everything we can to ensure that your clients, your employees all feel comfortable and safe when they come back to work. That they know that stuff isn't just being blown off, or that hey, we just treated it was no big deal. No, I mean, we want to make sure that everyone is taken care of, that any issues and needs of the employees, from just wanting to know what happened to, hey, I'm scared and I don't want to come to work, being able to provide them with whatever resources or services they may need, and then developing a plan from there to try and address the situation so it doesn't happen again. So we work very fluidly and with our clients to ensure that whatever needs they may wind up having, issues, concerns, or ways to try and be as proactive as possible on the front end. So hopefully we can either prevent or minimize what those kind of issues that we do those things.
I would throw this out as well, that not all theft is external, and so
he said it, not me.
That point.
not all theft. Okay, what you're not going to do is walk out of here with all products. So, we've had situations and broke up rings of situations, like just really well organized internal theft through camera systems and monitor. We actually have a monitoring room at the headquarters where people sit and watch cameras all day long at dispensaries and grows, that kind of thing. And people have come up with some real ingenious ways to collaborate to leave with product. One example is a large dispensary was losing, a large grow was losing a lot of product and didn't even know they were. And so, it's almost like folks are making so much money that they don't know when they're losing money.
It's going out the back door.
Right. And a significant amount was going out the back door. And, had to give Craig and Earl and Trey and them a call and say, all right, what you're not doing. And so, we are effective in a lot of other ways to be helpful to clients. And so, we just want people to know that we provide a lot of different services.
Let me pose this to you guys. We've been going back and forth with other different advocates, myself included, on if you don't know, the federal policy on safe banking, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the positions that we took on safe banking is, and I'm not saying we, the industry, but I'll just say me as Roz McCarthy, was I felt like safe banking, yes, it's a advantageous for for those that are already currently banked, for the big MSOs. But I felt like for the social equity, the smaller owned businesses who are still struggling with banking options, banking products, things of that nature, that would be a source of support, as well as maybe preventing. Because do you think there is a attitude of this is a dispensary with a lot of cash on hand? So from a criminal perspective, they're thinking, okay, they're not even maybe looking at just the weed itself, but maybe more so thinking there's a lot of cash on hand. Do people still believe that, you think, out there in the as a general public? I'm not sure.
I'll let you.
Yes. Yes, they do. I mean, there's still a lot of individuals who feel that a lot of these dispensaries are sitting on $1 million cash, that that they're just flush with it, as well as product. The biggest thing that I think has prohibited a lot of that type of theft or robberies from occurring. It's been primarily the fact that even individuals who go into these facilities realize relatively quickly that access to that cash is extremely difficult because there is such volume of people that are coming in and out of those facilities as well, that there's just too many eyes and requires too much time. So when you see a lot of these smash and grabs, it is for product because that's quick. It's easy, get in, get out, and then they can sit and, do what they want with the product after the fact. I'm going to tell you one of the newer things too that's occurring within the industry as well is packaging. A lot of individuals now are not necessarily, if they can't get the product, if they can't get the money, they want the packaging.
Really? What are they gonna do
because they are starting, you're going to start seeing a lot of product that's basically being sold out here under bootleg labels that really, they're going to use legitimate company name and product labels and containers in order to sell street weed as far as it's concerned.
All right, so don't y'all take Black Buddha Cannabis because I don't want to have to come get y'all.
I'm telling you, I mean,
I created a name for us because it was my testament to my own healing as a Black woman, and also utilizing Black Buddhism techniques and rituals in order to my healing, but not for. I mean, I didn't know that. That's wild.
The diversion aspect of this is huge. I mean, that's one of those aspects where individuals who are buying product and then selling it to others out on the street. That not only is it the product one that they're actually causing an issue with, but some of the product, the packaging in and of itself, and some of these larger companies or that are throwing away or discarding, unused materials that they're maybe transitioning to something new packaging or something. A lot of that stuff is showing up in other ways now. So you have to be very careful.
Listen, guys, Vincent dropped a gem. MSOs, if you're listening to this later on, he's dropped a gem. We're not even thinking about the ways that people, if they want to be on the gray market side, still be able to utilize things that are on the legal side to make it work for them to create an enterprise and business. If we were to reduce some of the barriers to be able to get a license and to become functional, maybe, I'm concerned about the New York, New Jersey, that tri-state area up there, Connecticut, in regards to the promise of making it open and fair and equitable ways to get in versus, folks that feel like, you're still cutting me off, so I'm going to do what I got to do to be a part of this. And so it's really big and to be concerned about.
Well, I think we're seeing that everywhere now, that crime and just disenchantment with the way things are is getting out of hand in a way that if you don't take some corrective measures, you're just creating a populace that's just unhappy and going to get what they want one way or the other. And, unfortunately, that's the way it's going. And,
And touching back on the other topic you had just hit on with regards to capital, I mean, I serve on a couple of other diversity, equity, and inclusion panels or boards as well right now, and listening to some of the conversations that we're having in those areas too, with regards to trying to figure out ways that we as a collective can figure out how try and find resources and access to capital that we could then actually disperse and distribute, to those of us that want to try and have access to it in order to get into these programs. I mean, one of the wild conversations that I heard, and I don't know that everybody on it would agree, but it was very interesting, was the fact that, not only opportunity, but the fact that they are, they're a little bit more risky with money because they actually have more access to it. Whereas we, even if we have it, we're a lot more reluctant and a lot more cautious about how we go about doing it because we don't want to lose it.
Trust me.
So
what's the saying? They say scared money don't make money. And
exactly. And
I feel it. Yep.
That's a huge concern, and figuring out ways for us to also maybe pool our resources. And again, I think one of the biggest things at the end of this conversation too is knowing that you don't necessarily have to be a grower, processor, or dispensary in order to get in this industry. That there are so many other things that are out there that are extremely lucrative. I mean, not tooting my own horn, but basically, we're a multi-million-dollar company right now as a result of the services that we provide. And
Well,
you
hey,
know,
listen, I'll toot it for you. Toot, toot, toot. Listen, and this is why we got you on. This is why you got the best business development person in the land. Because let me tell you something, he was not playing around. Hey, listen. I was like, if you don't go on now, I got you. I got you. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I know we're getting ready to wrap up and get short to our time. It's just our commitment is to want to introduce you to the general public. Please tell people how they can get in contact with you. We want to make sure that if they want to learn more or get connected, or I don't know what you guys think about internships. We are starting an internship program with M4MM where we want to look at HBCU students who are looking for opportunities. Just if they spend 2 weeks to be able to shadow a week, maybe someone that wants to be on the security side and start their own business. But I think it's so much that we can do together, and I'm so happy to have you guys on today. So I'll give you guys 60 seconds. I'll start with you first. Let me go. Hey, let's bring you on. Whit, start with you first. 60 seconds. Where do you see this? What are things how people can stay in contact with you? And then Vince, you'll get the last word.
Mm-hmm.
I would obviously say reach out to me by email. Shoot me an email. It's Whitney.Thomas at CLG Associate, CLG ASSOCLLC.com. And say hello, reach out. Like you say, quiet doesn't get it done. You have to have something to say and put it out there. And so just like I was aggressive in talking with you, Roz, you need to be aggressive to make things happen. And I think when you are aggressive and you come to people correctly, then I don't know, the world finds a way to help you.
And I didn't take any offense whatsoever. I loved it because that's how I was trained when I used to be in corporate America. It's like you don't go and wait for it to come to you. You have to go and grab it and say, listen, and how do we make this work? So I just want you to know it was definitely a pleasure to connect. Now you guys are forever connected to M4MM. We got to get you guys on as members, get you as one of our members, so that because we want to have ongoing. We have a lot of different MSOs and different cannabis companies, but people don't know about your company and what you're doing. And we want to amplify what you're doing to the industry, not to your clients, of course, but to the industry, because people walk around like, well, I didn't know there was any multi-million-dollar cannabis Black-owned companies. I didn't know. They think it's either an entertainer or athlete or someone of that stature, and not just someone that said, I got a dream, I got a business, I got an idea, and able to execute.
Well, I would also just suggest people can go into our website to www.clgassocllc.com. You can find out more about us. You can find out, you can also contact us through that. And as well, if you know of any individuals who are looking for employment, we actually keep our job postings up there throughout the country. So anybody who may be interested in finding a job and getting some work, come to the website, take a look. And again, I can be reached as well at Vince.Canales, CANALES at CLGASSOCLLC.com. I got to work on narrowing that down a little bit, but
you got a little something there. But did I get it right? Because my
that's it.
That's it right there.
One too many S's.
All right. So listen, take out that third S, y'all. Let me my laptop, my keyboard. See, this right here is giving me a problem. But listen, take out one of those S's. If you guys want to get in contact with them, long story short, call me, text me, m4mmunited.org. Call me. We'll get you in contact with them. We're going to keep this going. We're not going to stop. The one thing we're going to do is that when you guys are ready and when you're like, yep, we're ready for the next contract, because we are doing buyer matchmaking. That's one thing that Curaleaf has committed to, of matching their buyers with diverse suppliers. And so we want to make sure we do that. There may be areas that you're not even doing right now that you can go and end up kind of talking your way into, and they go, well, we need this. I got you. I mean, you'll be surprised that you could talk yourself into a contract. I want you guys.
Well, that's actually happened for us. That's how we kind of got into the IT aspect of it, because we got a request, and so we had to build it out, and we did.
Yep. And now look where you are. So you guys, you can talk about it, but you can also visualize it. If someone's talking and saying, this is what I need, don't go, can't do that, or I'm not sure. Go, you know what? I think I may be able to help you with that. Or you know what? Can you give me a day and I'll get right back with you on that? Take that opportunity. Step out on faith. You can do it, and make sure that we solidify our place in this industry as well. So
if I can One last thing. Thank you to everybody who basically is on here and listening right now. Truly appreciate you taking the time to hear us out. And the other thing about it is, and Roz said it earlier on, and I think it's an extremely valid point. If it's anything, any questions, any way that I can be of any help, or anything that I can do or help guide you in as far as providing you any information on how to get started, or just anything, please don't hesitate. Reach out. I'm a big fan of trying to help others grow and prosper as well. So do not hesitate. Let us know. That's it.
Yes, it.
That's it. You got it.
These glasses are so janky ass. Excuse my language, but anyway. Well, I hope you to enjoy being on with us for our First Fridays. We do this every single first Friday of the month. Thank you, Curaleaf, for being a great partner and supporting the work that we're doing. Had we not, so this was just a vision. I basically pitched to Curaleaf. I'm like, this is what because we didn't have this program last year. This time last year, this program was not built. And we basically was like, can you help us out? You guys want to make a difference. This is what we need. We need a website that we are able to have people to go to. We need to create a networking database of these different businesses. We need to have a daily, or not daily, but at least a monthly, quarterly way to connect with people. And so we're just so appreciative. And thank you, everybody that's been on for today. We appreciate you guys. Man, listen, have a great weekend, everybody. We love you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Hey, so listen, guys, this has been just one fantastic day. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you stay tuned in. We'll be here next month at 3 o'clock, the first Friday of every month, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Share this with your folks. Share this. Share. People need to know about this. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Whit.
Take care. Thank you again. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for listening.